Welcome back, Dumpling. Several Republicans from Capitol Hill have returned to their home districts this week to hold those raucous town hall meetings where many have been met with angry protests and tough questions on everything from Obamacare to Donald Trump's cabinet appointments. The president weighed in on the protests, tweeting, quote, "The so-called angry crowds in home districts of some Republicans are actually, in numerous cases, planned out by liberal activists." Sad. Our president will address a joint session of Congress next Tuesday. Will his speech ease the tension or just add a little fuel to the fire? Joining me now is senior politics writer for U.S. News and World Report. It's David Catanese. I said that wrong. It's Catanese, isn't it?
Catanese.
That's it, baby. Well, welcome to the big showroom. I'm glad you're here. Let us discuss. I know that you have been writing eagerly about these town halls, and it seems like the left is really getting what they want, because if Republicans cower and they don't go and they don't meet their constituents, the left wins. However, if these Republicans, usually it's people in Congress, if they show up and they're met with these pointed questions and shouted down, then, you know, all the blowhards get a bunch of attention. Can't win for losing, right?
Look, this does impact senators and congressmen when they go back to their districts. These are usually the people in their district or their state coming to voice opposition. And frankly, I think, you know, when President Trump says they're manufactured or, you know, they're liberal activists, does it really matter? Sure, some of this is organized.
Yeah.
MoveOn.org put out that they're planning 350 of these events, urging people to get out. But the people are out there. They're in every state. They're from California to Iowa, New York. This is happening everywhere. And I see it as sort of a reverse Tea Party movement, the left being energized by President Trump rather than the right being energized by the President Obama. But at the heart of the issue is the same issue that we've been talking about for, you know, 8 to 10 years now, which is health care.
That's absolutely right, and it's interesting, and I know we've already talked about this a little bit in the show, but this is certainly one of the sticking points that people are not used to having to vigorously defend themselves against. But the problem is, as we saw with that most recent poll from Politico, is people are now in favor of keeping Obamacare because they're so worried about the chaos and turmoil, because it seems as though Republicans don't have a cohesive alternative at the ready.
Right. There's no unity behind a plan. There are some plans floating around in Congress. We've seen Rand Paul draw up a plan. We've seen Senators Collin and Cassidy draw up their own plan. Little bit of differences in those, but there isn't unity behind one plan. And now the Trump administration has to step up, which they said they're going to, and put out a plan in the beginning to mid-March. And I think that's the only way you can get Republican cohesion. The president's got to get involved in this. So far, Trump has stayed back and said, we're going to repeal and replace it. But the question at these town halls is, what will be the replacement? Trump has to answer that.
Yeah, and you know, he has to be the logical unifying force here. Reince Priebus has said that certainly it will be, you know, just a week or two from now that they put forward their plan from the administration. You say this is a huge week for the president, a defining week, because you've got CPAC and the DNC going on at the same time. So what makes it so big?
It's a defining week in politics. We've got a lot going on. We've got CPAC, which is a 4-day event. The president addresses CPAC on Friday. And remember, the CPAC hasn't always been friendly to the president. A lot of conservative activists in the past have said they didn't want Trump there before he wasn't even a candidate. Then last year, in the midst of the Republican primary race, he didn't show up to CPAC. A lot of conservatives thought that was a slight. Now I think he'll get a hero's welcome, right? Because winning solves a lot of the problem. He occupies the Oval Office now. I think they're going to salute him. But it will be interesting to see if he gets into policy that goes against conservative orthodoxy. On trade, will he go anywhere on that? Will he talk about Russia and foreign policy? That's where he might, you know,
it's going to be a different year, David, because, as you know, Rand Paul has been victorious at CPAC several years in a row. He's not going this year, and I'm going to talk about that more with Dana Perino in just a little bit. David, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.